MB for wages, the hidden cost of survival in India. It's 4 a.m. The sky isn't fully bright yet. But a woman is already awake. Not because of an alarm. Not because of habit. But because of compulsion. She quietly gets up, so no one else wakes up. Lights the stove. Prepares food. Fills water. And then, for a moment, she looks at her hands. Hands that have only known work. Hands that have never been allowed to rest because if she stops today, her entire household stops. No money, no food, no survival. This is not just one woman's story. This is the story of thousands of women who are forced to take the hardest decisions of their lives just to stay alive. A life that cannot pause. In some parts of India, where crops grow in the fields, but dreams often dry up. Regions like the sugarcane belts of Maharashtra. Every year, thousands of families migrate for work, temporary shelters, plastic tents, and a life that revolves only around labor. Here, people don't work individually. They work as pairs, husband and wife. Their identity is not separate. Their work is their identity. And the system has one simple rule. If one stops working, both stop earning. Think about that. If the wife falls sick, the husband loses income too. If the husband stops, the wife cannot continue either. This is not just labor. This is a system where productivity matters more than people. The invisible pain. Now imagine what life looks like for a woman in this system. Working 10 to 12 hours every day, under the burning sun, with a body that is slowly breaking down. And then comes a time when her body naturally demands rest, her menstrual cycle, pain, weakness, exhaustion. But here, the body doesn't decide, the system does. She cannot stop. Because if she does, wages are cut, penalties are imposed, sometimes contracts are cancelled, and that's where a dangerous thought begins to form. What if this problem could just disappear? Quote, fear and misguidance. One day, she goes to a small private clinic. No big hospital, no proper counseling, just a doctor, and a life-changing statement. The doctor says, your uterus is damaged. It needs to be removed. That sentence changes everything. She is scared. She doesn't fully understand what it means. She doesn't ask for a second opinion. Because she doesn't have time, money, awareness. She only has one thing. Fear. A decision that was never hers. The surgery costs a lot. 30,000, 40,000, sometimes more. She takes a loan, with interest, hoping that, after this, everything will be fine. She believes the pain will end, work will not stop, income will continue. It feels like her decision. But in reality, it was never her choice. It was a decision forced by a system that left her with no alternatives. The surgery, the operation happens in just a few hours. A part of her body, her uterus, is removed. People tell her, now everything will be okay. But the truth, this is just the beginning. The consequences. A few months later, her body begins to change. She feels constant fatigue, bone weakness, hormonal imbalance, emotional distress. She is only 30, but her body feels like 50. Early menopause, something she was never prepared for. And the worst part, there is no going back. Not just one story. This is not an isolated case. Thousands of similar stories have emerged. Investigations have shown many young women underwent hysterectomies. In several cases, there was no strong medical need. Proper consent and awareness were often missing. This was not random. This was a pattern. A system slowly pushing women toward an irreversible decision. WHO is responsible. So who is responsible? The doctor? The contractor? The system? The truth is, everyone shares some responsibility. Contractors who demand non-stop labor. Some doctors who ignore ethics. Systems that fail to protect the vulnerable. And sometimes, society too. Because we hear these stories. And then move on. Law versus reality. Legally, this is not allowed. Unnecessary surgeries are wrong. Exploitation is a crime. No one can force such decisions. But reality is different. There is a gap between law and ground reality. Where awareness is low and poverty is high, exploitation finds a way. Outro. So is this really womb for wages? No. This is womb under pressure. This is the story of a system where a woman is forced to choose between her body and her survival. And when survival is at stake, is it really a choice? If this made you think, don't just scroll past, share this. Talk about it, because awareness is the first step toward change.